Hopefully, you're able to enjoy the May long weekend as we're now back into the work week, and we're just days away from the start of the Memorial Cup, which is some exciting times if you're a fan of the four teams that are going to be competing for the hardest trophy in junior hockey. Before we get to that, though, we do have some news items to talk about, a couple of signings involving Ontario Hockey League teams. Starting off with the Saginaw Spirit, defenseman Rodwin Dionicio has signed his 3-year NHL entry level contract with the Anaheim Ducks. Some exciting times for Dionicio, who had a great season with Saginaw, but you may remember he started the year off with the Windsor Spitfires before being acquired by the Spirit in the first half of the regular season. A key piece for that team going into their push towards hosting the Memorial Cup this year. Dionicio, he had a career high 25 goals, 48 assists, 73 points in his third OHL season, and he's been rewarded for his efforts. And he's been a standout with this team. Dionicio and Parekh, both offensive-minded defensemen, but they were able to get the job done, and they're going to be counted upon when the Memorial Cup gets underway on Friday. So again, congratulations to Rodwin Dionicio. The other signing that was announced, Dylan Roobroeck, he has signed with the New York Rangers. He had an outstanding year with the Oshawa Generals, was a standout in the OHL playoffs as Oshawa marched their way to the OHL final. So he's been rewarded for his efforts with a 3-year entry-level contract with New York. Roobroeck, during the playoffs, he appeared in 21 games, registering 11 goals, 15 assists, good for 26 points. The giant forward was able to get the job done and was a big force, especially in that series between the Barrie Colts and the Oshawa Generals in the first round. You noticed when he was on the ice with that booming shot, that physical play, and I think that's going to translate well with the New York Rangers going forward. He was picked in the 6th round of the 2023 NHL Entry Draft, which is a little surprising just when you see the skill set that he has and his size. He's really growing into his physique, and he's going to be quite the presence, I think, next year with the Hartford Wolfpack, with the American Hockey League, although there is that off chance that the Rangers do send him back to junior to play with the Oshawa Generals. But at this point, I think it's unlikely that he comes back for an overage season, but you never know. And he would be a key piece for Oshawa next season if he does return. But it is still hard to believe. Okay, so he was selected in the 6th round by New York in the NHL draft last year. But if you look at what Oshawa did to acquire him, because he started his career with the Niagara Ice Dogs, Niagara traded him to Oshawa for an 8th round pick. And that 8th round pick was for this year's draft. So I'm sure for a lot of Niagara fans, they wish Roobroeck would have stayed with the Ice Dogs organization, but Oshawa quite happy with his contributions. And if he comes back for an overage season, then all the better, as the Generals look to be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference next season. And this has been a story we've been following really since the channel started back in August. What was going on with the First Ontario Centre in Hamilton? You may remember a year ago, the Bulldogs, they had to look for a new home because they found out that the renovations would disrupt their season. So they ended up moving to Brantford, so just down the 403. However, it wasn't until November we found out some of the plans for the construction, the $280 million renovation, or what they're saying is they're calling it a retool, is what they're, or retool for the First Ontario Centre in Hamilton downtown. So yeah, $280 million is what's being put into that arena. It should be completed by the fall of 2025. But if you look at a lot of the plans, their main focus is music. So they're not really thinking about bringing back the Bulldogs. We already know that Brantford City Council in the process of building a 5,000-seat arena for the Bulldogs to stay in Brantford. We should find out those plans by the fall. It's going to go before Brantford City Council. But in regards to the First Ontario Centre, there is still the possibility that hockey will return to the downtown arena. The Toronto Rock, they're the only team right now that calls the First Ontario Centre home. Although next season, they will have to find a new place to play because renovations will officially be well underway. They did the announcement late last week that they're ready to start construction, even though we've known for a year now that work was going to take place at the First Ontario Centre. The Bulldogs had to leave, and then we found out in November that they were still talking about the work, and it's now May of 2024, and they're now starting the work. So the goal, like I said, is the fall of 2025 to reopen the arena. It's apparently going to have a new name. It's going to have a new look, but it's mostly the acoustics inside that they really want to focus on to bring grade A quality concerts to the city. So with that in mind, I believe it's the American Hockey League or bust to bring hockey back to the Steel City. You have to remember Burlington City Council right now in the early planning stages of building a 5,000 seat arena. So if the OHL is going to return to the Hamilton area, the team will likely play out of Burlington, depending on what happens on City Council on that front. So those are the news items. Yes, the Memorial Cup starts on Friday. I'm planning to do a preview in regards to the 4 teams that are going to compete. So that's Saginaw, London, Drummondville, and Moose Jaw. I don't cover the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League or the Western Hockey League in depth, but I'm going to try my best to give you a preview as to these teams and what we can expect over the coming week as the tournament gets underway at the Dow Event Center on Friday. So that's how I see it from the booth. Let me know in the comments section down below your thoughts on any of these news items. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if this is your first time here. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again soon.